Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Q&A, Comic Books, Movies, and Video Games. Today I have a interesting question. It involves the rules of our physics based off of comic book physics. Um, Primarily things like when the Silver Surfer, Firestorm, Molecule Man, etc., when they move molecules to shape them into whatever they want, for instance, turning wood into steel, why does it not create a nuclear reaction and explosion, which would occasionally occur if you tried this in reality? Two reasons that I would like to talk about this is one, I'm a huge science fan. Uh, Realistically speaking, yes, to convert one molecule into another molecule is not the same as just moving a molecule. It would create nuclear explosions based on the fact of molecular cohesion, uh, thermodynamics, as well as electromagnetic interference based off of uh, covalent bonds of those things. So, um, realistically, if a molecule was to be converted, uh, it can't just be converted. For instance, you can't take an air molecule and make it a steel molecule because the amount of carbon necessary to create steel just isn't there. So you would have to not only manipulate the molecules, but you would have to somehow manifest the molecules needed to convert such instances. You would also have to have the compensation of said molecule for the ability to sustain that extra mass. Primarily, uh, it would be exponentially heavier, and you couldn't just create a cube of steel in the air. Uh, Primarily because steel would just fall due to gravity, unless you had some way of maintaining the molecules in that air, which would involve telekinesis, etc. Um, I would like to say also, uh, these are comic book characters, so you can't really compare the physics of our world to that because we don't know how the physics of their world works. Uh, I mean, you would like to think that they would obey the laws of physics as far as we understand them. Uh, but, you can't take that into account. Just like the economics of the comic book world can't be comparative to ours because, like Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor, uh, you know, they spend billions of dollars constantly, and nobody, stops to think where is their money coming from. Sure, they have their companies, they have their gadgets, they have their patents, uh, but you can't just keep spending billions of dollars without running out of money. And Stark spends, billions of dollars constantly um, for no apparent reason. And he does it because he can. Kind of like on the episode of Smallville when Lex told Clark, you know, my father had the castle moved from Scotland. And Clark's like, yeah, I saw the moving trucks for days, but nobody ever moved in. And Lex is like, well, my father had no intention of ever living here. He's never been through the front door. He says, then why did he do it? And Lex says, because he could. Well, in the comic book world, you have to take into account there's a lot of things that they can do that you can't just do in reality because to spend billions of dollars like that constantly, uh, it would crash the economic structure of what we have. So yes, that is a little off topic as far as the physics of comics go, but I wanted to give a comparison for the sake of, you know, people who don't understand comic book reality versus our reality. Um, that being said, my answer is simply this yes, the second reason these molecules can do that um, in the comic book world is you have to take into account that they are drawing from mass that we don't understand. You know, the basic principles of it. You know, Superman flies because he can push through our gravity like it's, you know, nothing. Because the gravity on Krypton was so dense. Um, you know, if that's the way you want to go with that. Um, but to shift molecules in the comic book sense, it is an amazing feat. Massively overpowered. I personally feel that people should not have such a power because if you can just arrange matter and molecules however you see fit, then you really have no business being in the general comic book world. I think that that should only be saved for characters who are in cosmic stories like the Infinity Gauntlet, stuff like that. Molecule Man, you know, he fought the Beyonder to a standstill, and the Beyonder has no limits. But if you can control every molecule, then you know it kind of makes you a little hard to, to defeat. Um, you know, it's not like Apocalypse can control every molecule of his person, and he can control molecules of things around him. But when he dissolves something, at a molecular level and converts it to something else, he's destroying matter to create matter, which I've always thought was an interesting concept. I personally have a game that I made called Humanity Torn Apart, and in there's a power that is called destruction and creation of matter. Uh, if you want to make a pound of gold, you have to have a pound of something else that can equal that. But you got to look at it realistically. A pound of feathers destroyed, you can't really turn that into a pound of gold because the materials needed to make gold are not there. So you would have to uh, think realistically as far as how these molecules are working. In the comic book sense, there is no limit to how they can manipulate molecules. Um, Realistically, you would have limits. You could not convert something to something that it didn't have. Like, you couldn't turn a water molecule into a diamond because the carbon necessary to equal that diamond is not there. Um, Pretty much that's all I have to say because I have to keep these videos semi short. Let me know what you think. Um, I'm hoping that I can be a little bit better prepared for these videos in the future, but this one was sent to me and I had to talk about it because, like I said, science is my thing. I love the fact that people want to know the facts behind things. Um, in my group on Facebook, I will post this link. You can look for it. Just type in Q&A colon comic books, video games, and movies. Um, Hope to see you there. Thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed this video at least. And if you have a comic book, video game, or movie question you would like me to answer, post it down below. Um, Thanks. Bye.